Greetings, Disney adults, Disney fans of all ages. Welcome. Not too long ago, we were watching Disney Food Blog, yet another one of those fantastic YouTube video creators that just shares all sorts of things all about Disney. And my wife and I were very interested in this particular one because the title of it was Disney Changes That Guests Have Hated. I'll try to link it in my description below so you can go catch up on it and see if you agree with what I think. One of the changes that AJ of Disney Food Blog points out is things that used to be free that are no longer free. And in particular, she is talking about things such as the Magical Express, which was the complimentary shuttle service from the airport to the Disney parks, and of course, Lightning Lanes or Genie Plus. Now, recently I did a video where I talked about Genie Plus at length and Lightning Lanes, and I defended the Disney company by saying, what would Walt think of Genie Plus, Lightning Lanes? I still believe that Walt would say, what's the big deal? Remember, when Disneyland opened, you had to pay to ride. If I went to Disneyland and I wanted to ride Jungle Cruise, I had to pay for a park ticket, but then I also had to pay for a separate ticket so I could ride Jungle Cruise. Nowadays, if I want to ride Jungle Cruise, I have to pay for a park ticket, but once I get inside, I can go ride Jungle Cruise. I have to pay to skip the line for Jungle Cruise. And I do want you to understand that. That's what Genie Plus is, and that's what Lightning Lanes are. Now, I do want to make sure you understand. Just because I'm defending the Disney company on this, doesn't mean I liked the changes. When we first found out that Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes were going to be a thing, I said, I don't like that I have to pay for this now. And you've heard me mention before allears.net. Back around the start of 2023, All Ears did a video addressing this very thing. And again, one of our favorite members of the All Ears team, Fry Bucket, direct quote from her when she found out, she said, when I found out they were going to charge for Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes, I thought, well, that's stinky. Very succinctly stated, and I love that quote. It truly was stinky. Again, I don't disagree. I understand the decision, and I know why they made the decision. It doesn't change the fact that I still think that that decision was stinky. But back to what's inspiring this particular video. Disney Food Blog talking about the Magical Express and about Genie Plus surge pricing. That's what we're going to talk about today and ask the question, what would Walt think? Now, I always go back in time, so I guess let's do that. And let's go back in time. I could have gone back in time to the opening of Disneyland, but Walt famously was kind of out of the financial side of things. Now, that's not to say he didn't have opinions about money and how the Disney company should be run, but when it came to the day-to-day operations, his brother Roy was really the one who took care of all the financial matters. So to go back in time and try to say, what was Walt doing on the financial end of things, well, it's difficult to find. So what I thought we'd do today is instead look at some famous quotes that Walt made about the Disney company. So I want to share just a few of these with you. He said, my biggest problem Well, I'd say it's been my biggest problem all my life: money. It takes a lot of money to make these dreams come true. From the very start, it was a problem. Getting the money to open Disneyland, about 17 million it took. And we had everything mortgaged, including my family. But we were able to get it open, and in the 10 or 11 years now, we've been pouring more money back into it. In other words, like the old farmer, you have to pour it back into the ground if you want it to grow. That's my brother's philosophy, and mine too. Pour your money back in to the business. That was very much Walt's plan, and that was very much Walt's business model. The money to him was not that important. The money could be used for other things. He said, I'm not interested in money, except for what I can do with it to advance my work. The idea of piling up a fortune for the sake of wealth seems silly to me. Work is the real adventure in life. Money is merely a means to make more work possible. Now, when it comes to business, Walt said, I made up my mind that if this business was ever to get anywhere, if this business was ever to have a chance to grow, it could never do it by having to answer to someone with only one thought or interest, namely profits. Walt is also quoted as saying, give the public everything you can give them, keep the place as clean as you can keep it friendly. I think they're convinced, and I think they'll hang on after, as you say, after Disney. Walt Disney also said, the public will pay for quality, and the unseen future will take care of itself if one just keeps growing a little every day. Walt Disney was the idea man. Walt Disney was the creative force. Now, one thing that Walt believed very fervently was that if you give the public quality, then the public would respond. And that's where the Disney company has stood. That's why people like me and like so many adults and children who have grown up with Disney, so many children who have fallen in love with the Disney brand like we have, what we love is the quality. We love the quality that the Disney company maintains. So, what would Walt think of the Disney company seemingly being more interested lately in profit? Well, let's see. So, I want to begin by discussing very briefly the Magical Express, Disney's Magical Express. Now, the Magical Express was a service that Disney offered beginning in 2005, and it was free shuttle transportation from the Orlando International Airport to the Disney parks and back. Now, as far as what would Walt think of it, I think Walt would say, if we look back at his original plan for Epcot, he would say, well, my original plans, I had a monorail that would take you from the airport to the Disney parks. I would have loved to have ridden that. So I think Walt would have been in favor of a service that would get you from the airport to the parks. That said, the service didn't even come about until 2005. So 1971 to 2005, you're talking over 30 years with no transportation service, for free anyway. And then 2005, it was discontinued in 2022, less than 20 years for a free transportation service. So we're not going to give the Disney company too hard a time over that one, although I think Walt would have approved of it, and I think Walt would have said, let's keep this going. That said, we do want to examine the issue of surge pricing. Surge pricing is another one of those things that's not altogether new. It's been around for a while. Let's go back a number of years. Let's say that I have decided I want to make a Walt Disney trip. So I call the Walt Disney Company and I say, I want to come and visit Disney World. I need a couple of tickets. First thing Disney will ask me is, when are you coming? Now, of course, one of the reasons is they want to make sure they give me a ticket for the date I'm going. They can't just give me a ticket and say, use it whenever you want. I understand that. But the other reason is because the Disney company had pricing points based on when you were attending. If I said I'm planning to come in June, well, they would say, here's how much the ticket is going to cost. Whereas if I said I'm going to come in January, they would say, oh, the ticket's going to cost less. Or if I said I'm actually going to come over Christmas break, they would say, oh, that's the most expensive time to come. The ticket price would fluctuate based on when you were planning to attend. Reason for this actually makes a degree of sense. The Disney company would like to incentivize people to come during less busy times. We would like you to come in January because there's not as many people here. We're not making as much money during that time. So we're going to lower the cost of the tickets to try to encourage you. Maybe try to come in January as opposed to coming in June when it's most crowded, or December when it's really crowded. And that's part of the thing with surge pricing. Now, to Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes. When Lightning Lanes came about, when Genie Plus came about as the paid service, when they originally came out, we didn't know how much they were going to be. There were articles and speculations all over that talked about ranging up to hundreds of dollars just to skip the line. So when Disney announced it's going to be $15 to get the Genie Plus and get your Lightning Lanes, I said, oh, that's not too bad. $15 for me, for my family, that's $45. That's not too much money to spend to skip the lines. We said, all right, that's doable. But then after a relatively short time in existence, then Disney announced, oh no, we're going to start doing surge pricing. Surge pricing means we're going to charge you more based on how many people are coming to the parks. Now, let me go ahead and point out the difference. And Disney, if you're watching, here's why people are so mad. Before, I could look at a chart and tell when the busiest times were going to be because there was a chart that said from this time of year to this time of year, the tickets will be more expensive. From this time of year to this time of year, the tickets are less expensive. And I could tell at a glance exactly how much the tickets would be based on the surge pricing, based on the predictions the Disney company had of whether the parks would be really busy or not. Well, now Disney is taking the park reservation system, the park ticket system, and they're using new technology to decide how much Genie Plus and park tickets are going to be at any given time. Here's the thing. Right now it's March 9th. Today is March the 9th. If I say I want to go to the Disney parks on March 16th, I'm not going to, but I'd love to. If I want to go to the Disney parks on March 16th, if I call the Disney company and I say, how much is Genie Plus going to be? They are going to say, we don't know. That's a week away. But they're going to say, we don't know how much the tickets will be. We don't know how much Genie Plus is going to be that time. You won't know until midnight of that day. And here's the other thing. It's not like surge pricing has fluctuated between $15 and $18. Surge pricing saw prices go all the way up to $29 per person for Genie Plus back in November. I told you earlier, for my family, 3 people, $45, $15 a person. In November, it would have been $87, almost twice as much. And we didn't know it until the day before, until midnight of the day that we were going to be visiting the parks. Disney, that's stinky. And Walt Disney would have said, no, this is not what I created the parks for. These people are spending literally thousands of dollars for a dream vacation. And many people like me, that is where we want to go. We want to go to Disney World. We want to spend our time at Disney World. We want to enjoy Disney World. But surge pricing Genie Plus almost double its base price, that gets to be on the ridiculous. And that's where people start to say, Disney, we don't like that. I have been a strong defender of Disney, and I am one who would say Walt would hate that. And I wish the Disney company would change it. And perhaps if enough people speak out and say, Disney, stop doing this, perhaps they will make a change. But for now, that's what surge pricing is. And I will say this, Walt Disney would disapprove. He would say no. And he would, I believe if he were here, he would say, change that. Well, I know this video went in a little bit different direction than my typical videos, but I kind of have to be honest, and I wanted to share what I thought. What do you think? Tell me some of your thoughts. Comment below. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. I'd like to know them. Thanks for watching again, and I look forward to seeing you at Disney World.